அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். நான் ரெனு மீரா. இன்னைக்கு ரெமிரா டாக்ஸ்ல மற்றும் ஒரு சுவாரஸ்யமான விருந்தினரை சந்திக்க போறோம். சமீப காலமாகவே நிறைய இடங்கள்ல சாஃப்ட் ஸ்கில் ட்ரைனிங் பத்தின நிறைய அவேர்னஸ் நிறைய இடங்கள்ல போயிட்டு இருக்கு. அது ரிலேட்டடா எனக்கு ரொம்ப சுவாரஸ்யமான ஒரு கெஸ்ட்க்கு நான் சந்திக்க நேர்ந்தது. அவங்க தான் தாரிணி குமரேசன். இவங்க ஒரு சாஃப்ட் ஸ்கில் ட்ரெயினர். அதாவது வந்து ரொம்ப என்தூசியாஸ்டிக்கா பேசக்கூடிய ஒரு நபர். ஒரு ஒரு ஜஸ்ட் ஒரு ஒரு ஹலோ ஹாயே வந்துட்டு அவங்க கிட்ட சொல்லிட்டோம்னா அவ்வளோ எனர்ஜெட்டிக்கா இருக்கு. அப்போ அவங்க ட்ரைனிங்னா எப்படி இருக்கும், எப்படி எல்லாம் வந்து அவங்க இந்த ஃபீல்டுக்குள்ள வந்தாங்க அப்படிங்கறத வந்துட்டு எனக்கு ரொம்ப சுவாரஸ்யமா கேட்டேன். வாங்க தாரிணி மேம சந்திப்போம். Hello, Taarinee.
Hello, How are you, Mira?
Yes, I'm good. And thank you so much for being here in Remira Talks today.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Yes. தாரிணி, you are a corporate trainer in soft skills. இப்போ எனக்கு வந்து என்ன கேட்கணும்னா, இன்னைக்கு இது ரொம்ப பிரபலமா இருக்கு. எங்க போனாலுமே நிறைய பேர் வந்து இந்த ஃபீல்ட்ல இருக்காங்க. ஆனா when you started your career, if I'm right, before 20 years?
Yeah, a little more than that.
ஓகே. அப்போ எப்படி இருந்தது இந்த ஃபீல்டு உங்களுக்கு? ஏன்னா இது ஒரு கெரியரா எடுக்கிறதுங்கிறது இட் மஸ்ட் பி a challenge in those பீரியட். எப்படி நீங்க இதுக்குள்ள வந்தீங்க? இதுக்கு உங்களுக்கு ஏதோ ஒரு இன்ஸ்பிரேஷன் இருக்கும் இல்லையா? இதுக்குள்ள வர்றதுக்கு என்னவா இருந்தது?
See, actually, when business started getting outsourced from the US, the first outsourcing I think started in from Americas for the BPOs and ITES. ஸோ அப்போது ஐ நோ நாங்கள் எங்கள் வீட்டில் ப்ரொடாமினன்ட்லி வி யூஸ் டு ஸ்பீக் இன் இங்கிலீஷ், my parents and us. So we were always inclined towards this language, somehow love for a language. So I was always very comfortable in speaking in English. And so when business started getting outsourced from America, I know in India, people do have a little bit of a challenge when it comes to fluency in English. See, everybody knows English. They can write English. They know grammar also. But when it comes to fluency, when it comes to confidence, I see a lot of people hesitating, and there is, I think even till today I see that from my training experience, that there's people struggle with fluency in the language, and they don't, because they struggle and they do not find the confidence to speak. So when business started coming from America, and we had Americans back then coming down to India, so apo I wondered, I mean, I know American English is one thing, Indian speaking English is one thing, which is like two different things. Then they're no way related, because, and then if an Indian listens to an American, he's almost overwhelmed, is what I would say, because அவங்க ஒரு 6 feet height and அவங்க length and breadth பார்த்தீங்கன்னா they're much bigger than us, as and people used to get intimidated. Maybe not now, but back then people used to get very intimidated when they see an American. And more so when they speak the American accent. They used to get so intimidated. So they would never even speak the English they knew. So romba thadumaruvaanga. So that's when I realized, like, how can they do business when there's no comfort in the language? Somebody must be there, or something must be there to bridge that gap. It was a very conscious thought process which I had within myself, and then I realized that there is something, or there's that somebody. So when I did a lot of spade work, spoke to a lot of people, met a lot of people in this field, and then I realized that there was somebody called a trainer who would train people in communication, also in language, specifically those days, because it was BPO. So then I realized, it was not just Indian English. People had to understand American English. So then I got myself certified in the American accent, the British accent, then you have the Australian accent, then the Canadian accent. There are different types of accent, which is prevalent based on the country they come from, the English speaking country, native English speaking country. India is not. We speak different languages. So based on the projects coming from the US or the UK or Australia or Canada, there used to be a panel there, their own people, native people, who used to certify us in the how good you are in the language, how well you can adapt to their accent. So I got myself empaneled in almost all the languages, all the accents per se. So the funny part is there used to be about 18 to 20 American trainers, and I think we were only 2 Indian trainers who would speak the American accent back then. So it was like that. So it was just, that was the balance. because they were never happy with anybody, and they were because obviously we don't speak English as a mother tongue, so we're comfortable only in Tamil or any other Indian language. Naturally, if அவங்கள வந்து if we ask them to use the sounds like a ra, they wouldn't know, because that's not there in English. So having said that, I got myself trained because for the love of the language, to be very honest. I don't know if it's partial or impartial, but I love English as a language. My father was in love with the language, and so I was. The father used to write poetries in English and all of that. So I got myself empaneled in all the companies, the American companies, British. So I started my training career with all the multinationals. So my first client was an American client. My second client was a British client. So I started off right there. So they say if you start off right there, then it becomes easy. So I didn't have to go from the bottom to the top. I started almost from the top, which was because once you start training in the American accent, people know you are somebody who knows the language, somebody who can handle this much. So earlier it was not communication, it was only English. It was only language. It was only at the most we had customer service, we had sales. That was apart from, even for customer service and sales, you need to have very good English. And how people wouldn't understand so many jargons that they speak. I've had a lot of funny moments when people will say, instead of telling them to there was I remember those days when we had this computer where we had the tower. So they'll say, instead of saying, sir, can you put the tower on the floor, they would say, sir, no, can you put the tower on the floor? They say, can you put yourself on the floor? So simple things, they used to make a lot of mistakes. So we had to make them understand that they used to think in Tamil and speak in English. So there used to be a lot of gap in communication, because of which business would slow down, productivity would slow down, and hence, because productivity will slow down, obviously sales would slow down, profits will slow down. So it's like a vicious cycle. So you can't imagine that business used to slow down because of not so good communication. So if you handle the communication, everything else will speeden up. So that's how trainer's job was a very important job. I think even today I still have um, a corporate saying, we have very good technical skills, we have very good engineers, they are excellent, but when they come to presentation skills, when they come to speaking skills, when somebody asks them a question, they are unable to process the whole thing, the information in English, and then say it fluently without a pause. So that's where the difficulty comes.
Okay. So in the corporate world, you give training before they join, right?
Both ways. They used to be both ways. Earlier it used to be like they used to get hired. Then they would have I think about 3 months of training, and then they would have 3 months of technical training, and then they would start working, which was what it was. So that means they would get hired, technically they would be on board, but they wouldn't start work. So, and of course that was the level of training for the base level or the first level of employees. But then slowly people realized that it was not just those employees that needed training, everybody needed training. So then we moved from the different levels. We went up to the decision makers, the managers, the chief managers. If it's a manufacturing company, then you have different grades, right? Chief managers, and then you have so training up to the CEOs, the CFOs, the CDOs. Everybody needs communication training. Communication training is different from English training. So a lot of people confuse between language, English as a language, and communication. They think when we say communication, it's English. No, it's not. Communication is a lot more than English, is just one part of it. I can say maybe 5% of communication training is English.
Can you please give some example of the difference between the language and the communication?
Simple. Let's give you an example of a negotiation skill, right? So negotiation skill is how you're able to communicate that you want something and you can't give something, which is about, again, it comes under the communication umbrella, where I'm trying to convey something to you. A wants something and B wants something. Then how do you bring both of them together? Or you come somewhere via media, you're coming somewhere in between and saying, I can take I want this and you want this. So I have to negotiate with you and convince you and convey convey what I want, and then ensure that you say okay to what I'm saying. So that's basically negotiation. There could be something like critical skills, crucial conversations, where I have to deliver something extremely sensitive to you. It could be something like you're an employee and you're getting fired, so I have to convey that message to you. So how do I convey it in a very sensitive manner, very polite, courteous, sensitive, yet I'm not the job is a dirty job where if I'm an HR, I'm going to fire you, which is a difficult job to do. So it's not about English. It's about a human being being sensitive and using the right kind of vocabulary, using the right kind of tone, using the right kind of pauses in the conversation, slowing down when you need to, picking up the right phrases, looking into somebody's eyes, listening when somebody is talking, nodding your head like you're nodding right now to acknowledge that you're listening, appreciating somebody's point of view, all of that. So that's encompasses a lot of communication. So it's a lot of body language where we do not speak a word, but looking at you, if I'm in appreciation of you, so my eyes speak, my facial expressions tell you that I am with you on what you're saying. So all of that is communication. The whole body speaks. So how we use our body effectively to communicate is communication training. So now we have different topics in that. Like I said, we used to have something called personality development. So how I would help you be a more refined person, how you could use your body as your mannerisms, your gestures, your facial expressions, your dressing sense, your movements, the way you sit on a seat, the way you nod your head, the way you smile, the way you look at someone who's around you, the way you pause and say, everything about you. So how we develop your personality in every inch of it, and how you get refined. And refinement is sophistication. So how a person can feel sophisticated is you have to feel it to be sophisticated.
Yeah.
So that is some training that we do. So that's about personality development. So that is not English. It's about how you wear an outfit, how you carry yourself, and how you do your hair, and how you don't fiddle with your hair when you keep talking, how you don't fiddle with your outfit when you talk, or how you don't bite your nails when you're talking. There's so many things which people have taken for granted. In India, there was rather a very little refinement in communication. People thought that it was just to speak in English or speak in Tamil or whatever language, but there was no refinement, there was no sophistication, there was no people would I just have to convey a message to you, and I just have to do that, that's it. But if you want to do business with a lot of people, the first thing anybody would look at you and think is, that's the first expression. Even before you really literally open your mouth and say who you are, my name is XYZ, even before that, it's what you look like, it's how you seat yourself, it's how you talk, it's how you walk. So my first impression about you is how your body language is. So your body language comes before you even open your mouth and speak a word of English. So it's not English all the way. Sophistication doesn't have to be with English. It comes with communication and with your training in how you handle your body, how you handle your mannerisms, everything, how you hold your bag, how you hold your mobile. I mean, there's so much into it. It's an ocean.
ஓகே. இது தாண்டி வந்து உங்களுடைய கெரியர்ல லைக் என்ன மாதிரியான கம்பெனிஸ்லலாம் நீங்க இதுவரைக்கும் ட்ரெய்னிங் ப்ரோக்ராம் குடுத்துட்டு இருக்கீங்க அப்படின்றது? பிகாஸ் இந்த ஒரு 25 இயர்ஸ்ல வந்து 20 to 25 இயர்ஸ் முன்னாடிலேருந்து வரும்போது டெஃபினட்டா எக்ஸ்க்ளூசிவ் கார்ப்பரேட் கம்பெனிஸ்லலாம் வந்து நீங்க ட்ரெய்னிங் குடுத்துருப்பீங்க. ஸோ எங்களுக்கு அத பத்தி நெறையா தெரிஞ்சுக்கணும்.
Yeah, that's interesting. Actually, to tell you something, nowadays the companies that I've trained for, honestly, some of them don't even exist. Yeah. To start with, I think communication is connecting people, and that was the tagline for Nokia. Connecting people. They don't connect people anymore, and yeah, that was one company I trained for, which doesn't exist anymore. I've trained for almost all sectors, I can say, as in technology, automobile, of course, the IT and the ITES. You can name all the companies from A to Z.
Mhm.
like your Cognizance, your Sutherland, HCL, Polaris. I mean, all that is there on the IT Express Highway. You can probably name all of them, and I've trained in all of them.
Okay.
IT, yes, of course, I started off with the BPOs, and then moved to the ITS. Then, of course, the banking sectors.
Mhm.
In all the banking sectors, I've trained in almost all the banking sectors.
Mhm.
The international banks, as in,
Mhm.
we started off with the Standard Chartered Bank, Citibank, which doesn't exist anymore. I served for eServe. eServe was back then again, and that was again Citibank, but they used to call the back end as eServe,
Mhm.
which is not there now. Citibank is no more there. Royal Bank of Scotland, they used to call it RBS. Now it's become some other Ratnagiri Bank or something. So Royal Bank of Scotland, which is not there. So there's so many banks which have not are now non-existent in India. But I've also trained for World Bank. Um, of course, so banking sector, all the banks. The only banks that I think I have not trained yet is for Indian Overseas Bank, Vijaya Bank. So basically, the Indian banks I have
Yes,
not
Indian
trained.
banks.
Yeah. So yeah, so the banking sector, technology, ITES, manufacturing. Of course, the manufacturing, I think that's a huge sector. I've trained for companies like Rani, of course, now my most favorite, I would say, I mean, I don't know if I should say that, but is definitely Caterpillar. I've been training for Caterpillar since 2009.
Mhm.
That's a good 15 years, I suppose. So I've
What
been
kind of exclusive training for Caterpillar you are taking?
I train everybody in Caterpillar. See,
Mhm.
it's like this.
Because why I'm asking you this question is like so many levels of people are there, no? So
Correct.
they will understand English, somebody they don't, somebody they are more qualified.
Yeah.
So all these people, how
So
you?
not only in Caterpillar, but in all the other companies, if you see, there are people of different grades. When I say
Mm.
different, because an employee starts, if in a manufacturing, especially, you have people on the shop floor. The
Hmm.
factory area, people
Yes.
work in the factory area are called shop floor
Yeah.
employees. So they are level one employees.
Mm.
Sometimes they are employees, sometimes they are contract staff.
Mm.
And they would have just done diploma
Mm.
or ITI,
Mm.
something like that, which means
Mm.
they're not even graduates. Some
Mm.
of them would be studying to be engineering graduates
Mm.
in after finishing ITI,
Mm.
so that they get a better job or something
Mm.
like that. So then, and then you have the engineers, you have the team leaders, then
Mm.
you have the supervisors, managers. So they're different categories. So based on their job description, what is their responsibility at work, based
Mm.
on that, we devise programs. Now,
Mm.
I normally have a conversation with the HR or with their business unit heads.
Mm.
We call them BU heads. So
Mm.
business unit heads, and they would tell me what is their pain area, what are their
Mhm.
challenges,
Mm.
how they would. I would like my team to be like this.
Mm.
Now they are like this,
Mhm.
and I see all these things which I don't want them to be like. As in, they're not talking about anything personal here, but it's all got to do with business related. Like we had a visitor from somewhere, and I saw that these were the challenges they had when they were talking to the visitor.
Mm.
So I want them to get trained on this. So
Mm.
I do understand what are the I would definitely want to know what are their pain areas, what are their challenges, how do you want your employees to be at the end of the session, what is that you really want to see, what will make you feel that, oh, now my guys are doing great job. So what are, and I or sometimes if they have regular clients or regular partners outside, like a company has manufacturing units outside India, so they are all partners in business, they're not clients.
Mm.
So sometimes I also get to talk to those partners outside India, and then I ask them, so what do you think about what would you, because it's about communication. So they would give their point of view and tell
Mm.
me that when I speak to so and so, this is what I feel. This is, sometimes people don't listen. I think you'll be surprised if I say that Indians do not listen.
Listen.
They jump the gun.
Mm.
If I would say, what is your my name is Taarinee, where do you, I live in Chennai. They're just jumping the gun. So we are so impatient. So you won't believe it, but listening skills is a very important critical skill that needs to be developed by everybody. If you listen patiently to someone who's annoyed, who's angry, who's disappointed, uh, that person, you can cool that person down by just listening, looking into his eyes, nodding your head, keeping a pleasant face, not judging them, not giving any comments about what they're saying, but just giving them a good hearing. I think you can handle a lot of problems, which Indians do not think they can. They always want to give advice, they want to jump to conclusions, and they always want to say you're wrong. So that's an attitudinal issue. Now, this is not English. You get the point? So we're trying to help them understand that it's not about how important it is to listen. Even as a parent, I'm sure you'll agree that one has to listen to what your daughter or your son is saying first. He may be wrong. It's okay. But let him speak and allow him to say whatever he wants to say. You never know, out of 100 things he says, there may be one thing that you really feel he's good at. So listening skill is something that I've struggled helping people understand. So they think listening skills, I can hear whatever you're saying. I mean, that's how people think. No, it's not about the ability to hear. It's not about it's not that somebody is having a problem with hearing. No, it's about trying to be patient and mentally listening to someone. So that's an important skill. Which, see, now that's not English language.
Yes.
So that's communication, right?
Yeah.
So we do all sorts of training, like I said, communication even for the CEOs at a different level. Sometimes they're taught. There is a session where we train people on how to say no without using no. I can't do it. I won't do it. I shouldn't do it. I cannot do it. I will not do it. Without all these, you have to be able to say no. So everybody will say, how do we say that? Yeah, now that's the training. So you have to use positive language and still put the message across. So how will a senior officer or senior official be able to say no to something? Because one thing that even children don't like hearing is no. No chocolate, no leave in the corporates. You can't take off, you can't. So nobody wants to listen to a no. So how would you politely say no? Because when you say no, you become the enemy, you become the villain, you become the bad guy. So again, so these are all communication training, sensitizing relationships. How can you still have a wonderful relationship with your team, even though you're able to using all the rules and regulations, the norms that are there? Because a leader cannot always be nice. A leader cannot always say yes to everything. It's not possible. A leader has to have a balance between a yes and a no, and also know how to convey it in the right manner, and also be able to comfort his team when it's important. He has to be magnanimous, he has to be giving, he has to be patient, he has to be able to be fair with all the team members, he has to be impartial. So that's leadership training. So we have all sorts of, so depending on what's your job description, how many people you're handling, how do you handle different types of people. So these are all human behavioral programs. They're not English, they're communication. So how does a leader communicate with his team? So a lot of behavior, like I said, I'm a communication and a behavioral trainer. So I do all of that. So helping people have better communication, better teams, better relationships. They have internal teams, external teams, intra teams. There are lots of teams in an organization. So how do they handle communication between all of them? So there's, like I said, communication training is an ocean.
ஸோ நீங்க இது வரைக்கும் பண்ண ட்ரெய்னிங்லயே வந்துட்டு அன்ஃபர்கெட்டபிள் ஏதாவது ஒண்ணு இருக்கும்ல? ஃபியூ இருக்கும். அதுல சம்திங் வுட் யூ லைக் டு ஷேர் வித்
Yeah,
அஸ்?
definitely. I have quite a few, but I can tell you two immediately. Okay, this was one of the sessions which I had in one of the MNCs. Now I'm not going to name that, but it's one of my favorite companies. But I still train for them. So there is earlier, not now, but earlier people used to think that I can ask her. I want to see how much she knows. People have that attitude. So I like it. I like to take it up as a challenge when somebody does that, because that makes it interesting for me. So I remember in a session where there were about 12 to 15 guys, and there was this one guy who kept continuously asking me a question. So every time I would say something, he would ask a question. I would say, yes. Then I kept politely smiling, say, yeah, you want to say something? You want to ask something? At some point, I think his colleagues got a little uh, disturbed and said, okay, I think you have to stop asking questions now. And at some point, when you feel you want to break that monotony, you give a break. So you give a break, and everybody went on. The two of them stayed back, and they asked, ma'am, even by just watching what's happening, I think we are getting so disturbed. And how do you keep smiling and you continuously keep politely answering whatever he asked? So I said, what makes you think that I'm not upset or irritated? I mean, you can call it whatever, or maybe angry. What makes you think? No, you don't show any signs of it. You were smiling and you were politely answering, and you're so. How can you be like that? I said, no, it's irritating me as much as it's irritated you. He said, oh my God, we can't even see a trace of it on your face. I said, that's what a trainer is all about. You don't let your emotions show on your face, because I'm professionally trained to handle communication, good, bad, and ugly. So I said, if it was somewhere else, I probably would have caught his collar and thrown him out of the seventh floor. They were like, "Oh, really?" I said, "Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how I feel right now. But because I'm a professional, I'm not going to do that." So they had a hearty laugh. It was very funny. Something that was, I think, more, almost that was in 2010 or something, long, long ago. Another thing happened where another manufacturing company, where all the heads of the organizations, the CEOs, the CDOs, the chief managers. In manufacturing, you have something called a chief manager, general manager, and those sort of. So I had about 14 guys, and the HR came, and I was all only males. And then I was just about to start the program. The HR came and whispered something in my ear. Whispered. So everybody were looking. Why is this guy whispering something into my ear? So I said, "So what?" So they heard me saying, "So what?" Because I didn't want to whisper back, because I didn't think there was anything to whisper. This was a 10-day program. And then somewhere in the middle of the program, like after 4 days, there was this one guy who asked me, Taarinee, I'd like to ask you something. Yes, go ahead, please. I said, remember the first day when the HR came and they whispered something into your ear and you said, so what? So what did he ask you? So I said, he told me that all of them in the session are the senior most people in the corporate. So handle them with care.
Oh.
So he said that to me, and I was quite surprised. He told that, and I said, "So what?" So all of them were a little. There was a pause, because they were all
Yeah,
the
I could
decision.
visualize that.
They were decision makers of the company who were handling some 10,000 people, and people would think before they speak to them.
Yes.
Then I would. So they said, they were like, so Taarinee, doesn't it really matter to you that we are, I'm a CEO or somebody's a CFO or something like that? I said, no. They were even more surprised. I said, how can you not, how come it does not affect you at all? So I said, let me give you an example. You are a CFO or a CEO or a CDO or whatever, somebody at the decision making level. And there's another person who is probably, let's say, a team leader, or maybe he's at level one. There are two people who have a stomach ache or a headache, whatever, right? I'm the doctor. So you both of them come to me from the same company. Both of them come to me. I'm the doctor. So will you tell me that I am the CEO and I have a headache? Give me a medicine. And he will tell me I'm the level one employee. I have a headache. Give me a tablet. I said, will it matter to me that you have a headache,
Yes.
or whether your position? What matters to me is your headache, not whether you're a CEO or whether you're a level one employee. As a doctor, I would only look at why you have the headache, how often you have the headache, what is the duration, does it keep coming often, under what circumstances you get a headache, do you eat, are you dehydrated, do you have a vision issue. I'm only going to do the diagnosis of why you have a headache. And honestly, I don't care you're a CEO. So it doesn't really matter whether you're a CEO, and maybe I may not even ask your name. I may only try to diagnose What's behind the headache? If I'm a real doctor,
Mm.
so here I'm a trainer and I'm training you in communication, and I'm only going to look at your communication and your ability to convey something, good, bad, ugly. And I may probably need to know your job description, because I need to know who you speak to, what you speak, those sort of things. Otherwise, I would only look at your communication. You being a CEO honestly doesn't matter to me. And that's exactly why I said, so what? Did I answer your question? They all started clapping their hands. They said, oh my God, there's so much of an analogy behind that. I said, yeah. I said, that's what we call as experience. That's what we call ability to handle people, no matter who they are. So I think that's one thing that I guess God has given me. I don't know the meaning of fear.
Yes, that's great.
I don't know the meaning of fear. I normally never get perturbed. If you ask me to speak to maybe the Prime Minister of India, or the President of America, I would speak to him or her or whoever the same way like I'm speaking to you. It will not affect me in any way, whoever it is. So, fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know the meaning of fear. So that is what keeps me absolutely in control, no matter who my audience is. That's why I always say, so what?
So, Taarinee, in the earlier stages, when you were started your career as a trainer, now there are so many people who are into this field. So, how would you bridge this? I'm not asking the difference. How would you bridge this?
When you say Bridget, you're talking about from the audience point of view or the
Yes,
trainer point of view?
trainer point of
Oh yeah, I see. See, for a trainer, there we honestly there is nothing called BSc, BA,
view. Yes.
MA, PhD in training. For training is one field. I think even till today we don't have a professional degree in any college. So it's really up to somebody's ability to communicate. It's not just communicate, but also a lot of exposure. So if you have traveled all over the world, if you've met loads of people, if you that really helps in training, because you can pick up
Yes.
analogies from different places and say, hey, you know what, when I went there, this is what happened, and in this place, this is how they are, in that country people are like this. So it's not really a text. It's not like a 400 pages or a 500 page book which you have in the colleges or in school, where you say turn to page number 235, and then you have a topic, and then you speak. This is about human beings. This is about behavior. This is about like mergers and acquisitions. That a merger and acquisition in a corporate will be one will be so different from the other. You can't really compare them. So you should be able to cater to the requirement of that particular corporate, and what they want and what they would want to see at the end of it. So that comes only when you're able to relate so many things. We do something called role plays. So role play is something where you're trying to give a situation, and then it's a mock thing where you're trying to help people. Okay, you're the manager and so and so, this is the situation. How will you tell him that I don't like the way you're doing something? So if you have to give situational practice, then you have to have a lot behind you. Like, I had a very senior trainer who used to tell me that if you want to do 1 hour of training, you should have read some 40 hours of training material. So that's the amount of research, and now we call it browsing.
Yes.
Yeah, we do that. Actually, now it's become super easy, super easy.
Yes.
Back then, when I started, I think everything was hard work. Today, it's only smart work. I mean, just like at the click of a mouse, you can just do everything. But I'll tell you, the difference is, even if I don't have a laptop, even if I don't have a screen, I can train a complete 8 hour schedule without looking at a single paper with me. I think that's where we stand apart from, unfortunately, today's generation, who are dependent completely on two into two is the Google,
Yes.
the YouTube, the Chat GPT, the Insta, whatever. It's good. It's good for me. It now, people like me who use those things, for me, it's like it's an additional thing. It's an additional thing, the mobile or whatever. But if I don't have any of those gadgets, I don't have a laptop, you don't have, okay, Taarinee, you have 40 people, 50 people in front of you, you have to take a session for them for the entire day. I can do it. I don't need a single paper to do it. I don't need to refer anywhere, because everything is here in my RAM here. It's stored up here for the last 25 years. So I can reel off. And are you willing to listen? Do you have the ability, or sorry, do you have the energy to sit with me the entire day? I don't know about that, but I have the energy. I have it in me to give you that knowledge and make it interesting, because we have role plays, we will have activities, we'll have reflection, we have so much of thought process that goes into every training session. It is not just speaking in English. It's about how you will take away something when you leave this place. How you will keep thinking when you walk out of this room. You should be able to say, "Okay, all right, yeah, I know."
The transformation.
The transformation. I've had people coming and telling me that. I've had somebody coming, walking into my session saying, "Oh, my manager just pushed me into this session. I just hope this is interesting." I said, "Let's see what you have to say at the end of the session." And then evening when he goes, he comes to me and he tells me, "I came in as somebody, I'm going out as somebody else." One very senior officer, I was with them for 4 months, a transformation program. Um, One day he called me and said, "Taarinee, can I speak to you?" One man who made me cry. And I said, I still remember his name, Dinesh. He said, "Yes, Dinesh, what is it?" Very senior guy. He was handling a few thousand people in his company. I want to tell you that I'm going to Australia for, there is there's a project, and I'm going to Australia because of you. I said, "Okay, tell me why." So, because he was one person who was always in Chennai, never wanted to travel, so he never took up any opportunities, never wanted to move out and explore. So I said, "You are working for your family. If you don't go out and don't explore, you're not going to go to the next level." So, in the process of my 4 months training, there was a lot that the leaders learned. So he said, "I would never look at my boss, who was a lady, and look into her eyes and speak. I will always look down and speak." I said, "No, you don't do that in the corporates. If you want to sound, if you want to be genuine, look into somebody's eyes and speak with confidence." So his boss, the lady, she noticed and she said, "Not bad. I see that now you're looking into my eyes and speaking to me." So he said, "It's because of my trainer, Taarinee." So she said, "Wow, okay." Then he accepted the project in Australia, where he had to go kick off a program for 2-3 months and then come back. So he accepted. He said, "That's because of Taarinee." And then he went to some his college, some Trichy or somewhere, and he got up the stage and he spoke for the first time on the podium, and he said, "I'm here and I'm speaking on the podium because of my trainer, Taarinee." He said that, and he told me something that actually made me cry. He said, "Taarinee, you know what? There's so much of transformation in me." And by that, I can tell you one thing. If you're paralyzed, your legs are paralyzed, your hands are paralyzed, your entire body is paralyzed. But if you can only speak, I beg you, I request you, please sit on a wheelchair and go into training rooms and speak, because you speak magic. You inspire people.
Yes.
You motivate people to the extent where you brought in a life transformation in me. And I am so indebted to you that I will never forget you for the rest of my life. And as he was saying, I started crying for the first time. I think that's probably the best award I've got, because somebody called me to thank me.
Yes.
He said, "My life has changed because of you." Of course, that was the groundbreaking feedback that I got. But I've got so much similar feedbacks. But I never forgot this guy.
Yes.
I never forgot, because he said, "If you're paralyzed," I mean, nobody would give you a feedback like that.
Yes.
If your hands are paralyzed, legs are paralyzed, but you can speak. He said, "You don't know what you're capable of." So I a lot of people have said that I have changed their lives. I think that is the best part of my profession. And it's really not. And you ask me, what is the difference between that? The difference is
For the generation.
today's generation. I mean, I'm not saying everybody has a viewpoint, but if you do it as a profession, I don't think you can change lives. As in, if you
No.
only do it for the sake of making money, unless you are deeply involved in the process of changing lives, changing people's lives, I think you can't be the best. You can't touch people's lives if you're only thinking of what am I going to gain, what's the kind of billing I'm going to do for this session. I never thought of that. The best part of me, I think, is I was so passionate about what I was doing that for me it was, I want to see the transformation in people. I want to see you change. I want you to come back to me and say that, hey, you touched my life. You made me think. You made me realize. Some girls have actually told me, if I had done this program on critical skills 3 months ago, I probably wouldn't have got engaged. I mean, I've got all sorts of feedback. People have spoken because they say they are so powerful in what you say that um, I would have taken a different decision if I had met you a little earlier. So the process of making people think you can do only if you are deeply involved in what you're saying, if you believe in what you're saying, if you look into people's eyes and speak, and you love what you're doing. You have to love it.
Okay.
And when sometimes I think I've been lucky in doing, my passion is my profession. Unfortunately, not everybody are able to do that because they train to be something in college, but they need a job, so they do something else and they don't like their job. So I think that way God has blessed me with a wonderful profession, wonderful. And hence, my when you're passionate about something, it shows.
So, very nice having this very interactive session today. So, thank you so much, Taarinee, for being here in Remira Talks.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.